Okay, Jenny, we're live.
Great, thank you, Chase. Welcome everybody to the Administrative Review Team meeting for March the 11th. And I will have Lori call the roll, please.
Yes.
Could you repeat that, Lori? I don't think anyone, I didn't understand what you said, sorry.
Okay.
Lori, we're having a hard time hearing you.
For the roll,
That's
There we
better.
go, that's better.
okay. Ms. Roush,
Here.
Mr. Figueroa,
Here.
Ms. Gilger,
Here.
Mr. Hendershot,
Here.
Mr. Hyatt, Mr. Hyatt. I'm sorry, I'm not hearing an answer.
He is here.
He isn't?
He is present. I don't
Okay,
know.
okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Sergeant Rice,
Here.
Mr. Hamilton,
Here.
Mr. Flora.
Here.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Lori. We have one set of minutes for approval today from March the 4th, and I didn't see any revisions to that. So if everyone is in agreement, I will, unless anyone has any modifications to be made, I'll make a motion to approve those. If I could have a second, that would be great.
Who was the second?
Second.
Michael Hendershot was the second.
Thank you.
You could call the roll on that, please.
Yes. Ms. Gilger,
Yes.
Mr. Hyatt, Sergeant Rice,
Yes.
Mr. Flora,
Yes.
Mr. Hamilton,
Yes.
Mr. Figueroa,
Yes.
Ms. Roush,
Yes.
Mr. Hendershot.
Yes.
Thank you, Lori. So we have no minor modifications today, and we have on the agenda 3 determinations and 1 recommendation. So we'll proceed to the first case, which is the Hampton Inn located at 3920 Tuller Road. This is modifications to an existing hotel on a 2.6 acre site zoned BSD Sawmill Center. And it's located on the north side of Tuller Road. And Chase is our presenter today, I believe.
Yeah, thank you. So good afternoon. As was mentioned, this is a request for review and approval of a minor project review for exterior modifications to the Hampton Inn located at 3920 Tuller Road in the Bridge Street District. The site is highlighted in yellow on your screen. It is approximately 2.6 acres in size and is located on the north side of Tuller Road, just south of I-270. Surrounding uses include the Infinity of Columbus auto dealership to the east, commercial and retail tenants and uses to the south, and then hotel uses to the west. This zoomed in aerial gives you a better context of the site as it exists today. The building is centrally located with parking on all 4 sides. There are 2 access points on the south side of the site from Tuller Road, and there is an existing dumpster enclosure in the northwest portion of the site. And this is the building as it exists today. And I'll jump into the proposal here, but this is the existing front or south elevation as it exists today. And then this is what the applicant is proposing for the front or south elevation. The applicant is proposing a number of modifications with this application. Most notably is the construction of a 6-foot tall parapet at the top of the building. The 6-foot height does meet code for height. The applicant is also proposing a repainting of all the IFAS pilasters on this elevation, the majority of which will be a matte white color, similar to what exists today, although portions of it will be a colonial brick, red-brown color, and an evening blue. The applicant is also proposing to redesign the existing porte cochere at the south side of the building. This currently has a hipped roof, so the applicant is proposing a flat roof structure to match the more contemporary look with the new parapet. The porte cochere as it exists today is primarily IFAS, and that will be the case with the redesign as well, although the applicant is proposing to clad the bottom of the columns with a brick to match the existing brick on the building. And with this redesign, the size, location, and shape of the porte cochere is not changing, and actually the foundations are remaining as is. And then also on this elevation, the applicant is proposing to install an Ichiha fiber cement panel as an accent material to the front entry area. That is proposed in a smoke gray finish. And then you'll notice the Hampton Inn sign at the top of the building here. That is for illustrative purposes only. Signs will, the applicant has indicated signs will potentially come forward with a separate application in the future. So this is the existing rear north elevation. This is the side facing I-270 to the north. And this is what is proposed for that north elevation. So again, you'll see the 6-foot tall parapet for a more contemporary modernized look. And the applicant is also proposing the Nijiha smoke panels as an accent material on a portion of the front, the first story on this elevation as well. So with the addition of the parapet as well as the Nijiha panels, the percentage of secondary materials on this elevation is approximately 21.5%, whereas code would permit a maximum of 20%. There is a provision that allows for what's called an administrative departure, which can be approved by the administrative review team, which would allow for an additional 10% of whatever indicator you're working with. So in this case, secondary materials are permitted 20%, an additional 10% would be 2% on top of that. So the applicant is requesting approval of an administrative departure today that would allow for up to 22% secondary materials on this elevation. And again, with the new parapet and the Nijiha material, they're at approximately 21.5%. Also on this elevation, as with the others, the IFAS pilasters from the ground level up to the top will be repainted. And then these are the existing side elevations, so the east and west sides of the building. And this is the proposed east elevation. So again, many of those same things apply here. The IFAS will be painted one of those 3 colors. And then you'll notice the redesigned parapet on the left side of your screen. Same thing on the west elevation. The majority of the brick on this elevation, as with the others, is to remain unchanged. And then, as I mentioned, the applicant is proposing a couple of new materials for the site. So on the left is the Nijiha panel in a smoke finish. And then on the right is a general shale red velour brick. And so again, that brick is really just for the bases of the columns for the porte cochere. Staff is slightly concerned with the color of the Nijiha's finish, given the number of paint colors as well as the brick on the rest of the building. Staff is recommending that the applicant continue to work with us to select potentially a warmer color to better architecturally or a more architecturally compatible color. And finally, these are the paint colors proposed by the applicant. So again, the majority of the IFAS is going to be that matte white color on the left side of the screen. Smaller portions of the IFAS are going to be painted colonial brick, as well as evening blue, and that evening blue is a brand standard color. So finally, this was reviewed against all applicable criteria. Staff is recommending approval of the administrative departure with no conditions, as the request is minor in nature and meets the spirit and intent of the Bridge Street District Code. And staff is also recommending approval of the minor project review with 3 conditions. There is a little bit of lighting proposed with this application. So just ensuring that that meets code prior to submittal for building permits. The applicant ensure all landscape maintenance and screening deficiencies, including a rooftop vent, are remedied within 90 days of obtaining approval of all necessary building permits. And number 3, that the applicant continue to work with staff to select a fiber cement panel finish that is warmer in tone and architecturally compatible. So I'm happy to answer any questions you all may have. The applicant is also in attendance today. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Chase, for that overview. Does anyone have any initial questions for Chase before I let the applicant provide any additional information they would like to share? Okay, is the applicant here and or do you have any additional questions or information to provide to the board?
Can you hear me? I am here.
Okay, we can hear you.
Yeah, no, Chase pretty well explained it all. Just about whatever we're going to do is all exterior repainting and really no structural work or anything like that.
Okay, and are you in agreement with the conditions that were proposed?
Yeah, yes, we are in agreement with those.
Okay, great, thank you. Chase or Nikki, has there been any public comment for this application?
There has been no public comment.
Great, thank you. Do ART members have any comments or questions about this application? Okay, it seems like a lot of the things that were discussed, at least amongst staff, were addressed, which is appreciated. And you're within that threshold for the administrative departure, so I don't have any concerns from that perspective as well. Okay, so with that, then we'll need 2 separate motions, correct, Chase, for this application?
That's correct.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to first approve the administrative departure. So if I could have a second, please. Thank you, Colleen. Lori, if you can call the roll.
Yes. Mr. Flora? Mr. Flora?
Yes.
Mr. Hamilton?
Yes.
Sergeant Rice?
Yes.
Mr. Hyatt?
He's having some audio issues, so we'll proceed.
Okay. Mr. Hendershot?
Yes.
Mr. Fagrell?
Yes.
Ms. Gilger?
Yes.
And Ms. Roush?
Yes. And then the second part of this application is a minor project review with 3 conditions. And I will make a motion to approve this application with those 3 conditions as listed. If I could have a second.
Second.
Thank you, Brad. Lori, if you'll call the roll, please.
Sure. Ms. Gilger?
Yes.
Mr. Hendershot?
Yes.
Mr. Hyatt? Sergeant Rice?
Yes.
Mr. Flora?
Yes.
Mr. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mr. Fagrell?
Yes.
Ms. Gilger?
Yes.
And Ms. Roush?
Yes. Great, thank you, Chase, and thank you, Steve. I look forward to these improvements.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a great day. The second application before us today is for Twins Auto of Dublin, and this is a minor project for a proposed ground sign for an existing car dealership on this site. And I believe Julia is our presenter for this application. Is that correct?
Yes.
Give you a second. Meg.
Okay, so this is I've been requesting review and approval for a minor project review for Twins Auto of Dublin ground sign installation. All right, so this site is located at the northwest corner of the intersection of West Bridge Street and Post Road. Vehicular access is located on the west side of this site leading to Post Road, and the site is approximately 1.29 acres in size. The existing conditions, the sign you're viewing now on your screen is viewed from the intersection of Post Road and Bridge Street facing west. The sign was for a previous tenant located at this site. The existing sign that you see on your screen is approximately 5 feet 7 inches in height and 9 feet in width. There is currently no landscaping around this sign, and the applicant has addressed these concerns, and we will discuss that later in this presentation. Additionally, there is a temporary sign located on the principal structure of the building that will also be addressed in later portions of this presentation. So the site plan it is as viewed on your screen. There is an existing sign located at the point of the star on your screen, and the proposal retains the same foundation as the existing sign. It will just be a new sign located atop of the existing one. The existing site is located approximately 21 feet from the Post Road frontage and approximately 31 feet from the West Bridge Street frontage, and then approximately 86 feet from the principal structure. This meets code as the expectation is that the sign would be 8 feet away from any right-of-way, so this is well within those code requirements. So the proposed sign is, as you can see, the sign face has a proposed height of 4 feet and a width of 9 feet. Then this meets code as it would be a total of 36 square feet, where code allows for a maximum of 50 square feet. The total height of the sign, including the sign base, is 5 feet 7 inches, which is less than the 15 feet max height as required by code. This also includes 3 colors. The colors are black, brushed aluminum, and dark pewter metallic. This is within the code's requirement of up to 3 possible colors. And the lettering for this sign will have white halo lit illumination. The proposed landscape plan is as follows. There will be green mountain boxwood and creeping thyme are the 2 choices of plants. The plant choice was reviewed by landscape specialists and approved selected plants. There will be a 36-inch perimeter around the sign base to allow for visibility, which is also within code requirements. This was reviewed against all applicable standards, and planning recommends approval with 2 conditions. The first one being that the applicant removes the temporary wall sign located above the entry of the existing building prior to the installation of the new ground sign, and second, that the applicant apply for and successfully obtain a permanent permit through building standards prior to installation of the sign.
Great, thank you, Julia. Do any ART members have any questions for Julia? Okay, does the applicant have any additional information to add?
Not too much to add. All I wanted to say was staff had made some comments originally about the size of the lettering, specifically I think of auto on that, and the client really is trying to keep that how it is. He likes how the auto is a little bigger and Twins is bigger as well, and the of Dublin part is smaller. He just thinks it's necessary to have that auto part nice and big. So those are the really only comments I have. It does use the existing foundation and pole that's there, so it'd be staying in the exact same spot as the last sign that was approved.
Okay, great, thank you. That's helpful. Julia or Chase, could you talk through with the lettering? Does that meet our primary and secondary image requirements as it's proposed? I wondered that too when I saw it.
Yeah, so that was a concern of staff's to start. It does, the full legal name of the business is Twins Auto of Dublin, and so that's something we double checked on the Secretary of State website as well. So in theory, this is all one primary image. There actually is no secondary image proposed, so it is meeting that requirement.
Okay, great, thank you. Does ART have any comments or concerns about this particular application? Or items to raise? Okay. Any public comment, Chase or Nikki, on this application?
We have no public comment.
Well, I think this looks like an improvement to obviously what's out there and refreshing that site. So appreciate you all bringing that forward to make this improvement. That should nicely spruce up that corner there. So with that, if nobody has any concerns or questions, then I will make a motion to approve with the 2 conditions. If I could have a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Lori, if you can call the roll.
Mr. Fagral,
Yes.
Mr. Hyatt, Mr. Hendershot,
Yes.
Sergeant Rice,
Yes.
Mr. Hamilton,
Yes.
Mr. Flora,
Yes.
Ms. Gilger,
Yes.
Ms. Roush.
Yes. Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
And what was the 2 conditions you guys you spoke of there?
One was the removal of the temporary sign that's on the building. And then, Julie, what was the second one? It just escaped me.
Second one was obtaining the sign permit before installation.
Okay. Yep. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our third application today is for the ProMedica sign, which is a minor project review. It's for a ground sign located in front of that business. And Zach, I believe, is our presenter for that.
Yes. Good afternoon. Give me just one moment to get this pulled up. All right, perfect. Well, good afternoon. This is an application for review and approval of a minor project for ProMedica. Jeff, if you could maybe mute your, perfect. So this is an application for review and approval of a minor project for ProMedica. ProMedica Skilled Nursing and Rehabilitation is located at 4075 West Dublin Granville Road. This is located southeast of the intersection of West Dublin Granville Road and Shamrock Boulevard. The site is currently zoned Bridge Street District Office. It was developed as a as part of a PUD for the Shamrock Crossing Plan Unit Development District. However, since Bridge Street District has been developed in 2012, the Bridge Street District zoning does find priority over this site. Shown on the screen are the two existing ground signs that are located at this site. This site was developed as Heartland Bank, or not Heartland Bank, Heartland of Dublin, which is a skilled nursing service. This site has gone through a different branding, so the applicant will be looking to refresh the ground signs at this location. Both these signs are located on Shamrock Boulevard and West Dublin Granville Road. They are identical in design and size, as they are both approximately 33 square feet in size, and they both sit on stone foundations. The applicant is looking to remove both of these signs in hopes to have a 15 square foot ground sign to go in place of the two existing signs. The applicant is proposing one ground sign as because the site is located within the Bridge Street District Office District. The sign requirements are defaulted back to the standard zoning code, which is within zoning code section 153.150 through 164. So any ground signage or wall signage that were to be submitted for the site would have to meet nursing home requirements. The maximum square footage allowed for ground signs for nursing homes is 15 square feet with a max height of 6 feet and a minimum setback from the right-of-way of 8 feet. So the applicant is meeting the square footage requirement. The monument sign or the ground sign is also approximately 4 feet and 4 inches above grade, meeting the 6 foot requirement. And it is, as it is sitting in the same location as the existing Heartland sign, it is 8 feet from the right-of-way. This sign will be utilizing the existing stone base that the Heartland sign is currently located on, and it'll be reutilizing the base as well as the structure and steel for that sign. This sign will be constructed of an aluminum cabinet with an aluminum box header, which is that green band or fin at the top of the sign. The white area where you see the ProMedica Skilled Nursing and Rehabilitation is a white curved face, curved aluminum face with vinyl copy. The logo itself is 3 colors: the lime green, grass green, and yellow green. Zoning code does allow for logos to be multiple colors, and a logo is considered as one of the 3 permitted colors for a sign. The other 2 colors that are proposed with this application or with the sign are white, which is the background of that curved aluminum face, and the cabinet and copy are both a warm gray. With this application and the removal of the West Dublin Granville Road sign, staff has conditioned that they refurbish and restore that area to make sure that it is landscaped similar to what is currently there. Staff has also added a condition regarding applying and submitting and receiving approval of a sign permit before construction of the sign. Staff has reviewed this application to all applicable criteria and are recommending approval with the 2 conditions that were just listed. I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have. Otherwise, Jeff, the applicant, is here to answer any questions you have. Thank you.
Thank you, Zach. Does anybody have any initial questions for Zach before the applicant has an opportunity to speak? Okay. Jeff, do you have anything you want to add?
Zach's presentation was right on, so no. If you have any questions, I'd take them now.
Okay, great. Does anybody have any questions for the applicant? Okay. Does any ART members have any other comments or concerns about this? This, again, to me, looks like a great improvement to this, and appreciate the consolidation to one sign with the consolidated design. That looks nice, and the altering and fixing up of the area where that previous sign is. That was a great catch and recommendation by staff, so appreciate that. Chase or Nikki, was there any public comment related to this application?
There is no public comment.
Zach, I do have one question about that green band that's on the proposed on the top of the sign. How are we handling that? Is that part of their secondary image?
So it is constructed of aluminum. It's basically an extension of the cabinet that it would be located on. So the way that it was reviewed by staff was that the green that is located on the logo, we considered that as part of the background or as part of the cabinet. So it was included in the 15 square feet calculation for this sign.
Okay, I'm just trying to think through if you only get 3 colors and the logo counts as one and the white and the gray count as the other 2.
Right.
Whether
And
that can be there or not.
so you are required to use one of the colors in the logo as either the background or secondary copy. So that was the selection, was to make sure to utilize that as part of the background or the cabinet.
Okay. I'm just not sure that that meets, I think that exceeds the number of colors. Nikki, you have any, from a planning code perspective, do you have any thoughts on that?
Zach, are you able to share the sign again? I do recall us obviously having a lot of discussion around this and trying to put Jeff in a spot where we could make sure that this was approved. So I would agree with Jenny that they would need to make the green part on the top white. Alternatively, they could make the white part green, although part of the logo would probably go away. But I think this could possibly be addressed by just conditioning that the sign be reduced to a total of 3 colors.
Okay, and then we could work out how that gets handled with the sign permit. Okay. Is ART agreeable to that modification? I'm seeing lots of heads shaking yes. Jeff, does that make sense what we're saying in terms of the code requirements?
Well, it makes sense. I guess I'm just a little confused. The green for the fin, the top portion of the sign matches one of the greens in the logo. So technically it's the same color as one of those greens in that logo, the grass green. So would that not be 3 colors total?
It would be, but then you have also gray and white. Would we consider that green secondary image, Nikki, and then it could be counted as part of that, the total secondary image? Could we get to it that way?
So I like the creative thinking here, but I think to answer your question, Jenny, no, because if you think about, say it was text, say it was a tagline, if the tagline was green, that would count as another color. And Jeff, maybe to address your item, it's not, when we're talking about a logo being a color, we are not actually reviewing the individual colors that are in it. We are saying that whatever your logo is, that counts as one color. You may include as many colors of the rainbow in that as you have in your logo, and then you would get 2 other colors. So you would have a color for the background and a color for the text. And then the proposal shows really 2 background color, well, 3, because you have silver, white, and green. So you have a total of 4 once you add the logo in. So if you eliminated the logo, you would be fine. I know that's probably not the direction you want to go. Basically, what we're trying to say is there are a lot of design solutions here. And in terms of addressing it today, we could condition that the sign be reduced to a total of 3 colors.
Then that would allow you you the opportunity to fix that. I mean, the other alternative would be to table, Jeff, so you could sort out what you wanted to and bring that back. We just wanted, if we can expedite you and give you some flexibility on the back end so you could work that out with Zach before you submit for a sign permit, we can do it. We can do that. So I guess you let me know how you want to handle that.
So I guess my only choice is to make the top fin white to comply. Is that correct?
That or it could be gray also.
Yeah, I mean, or you could eliminate it altogether. I think there are lots of design solutions.
Okay, yeah, I'll make a call. I just want to point out that, we're doing 207 locations nationwide, and I think this might be the only one that doesn't have the green fin on top. So if we have to do it as white or gray, I will make the modification to the design. I think the white would look more aesthetically pleasing and balance out the sign.
Okay.
So I would choose the white on behalf of ProMedica.
Okay.
If that is, the course, so.
Okay, well, we can add that condition that it has to be limited to 3 colors, and then you can look at the different options on your end and decide what you think looks the most aesthetic. And then when you're submitting for permits, they'll just make sure that it is only those 3 colors. So
that's acceptable. It obviously it'll be either the white or the gray. So I'm good with that.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay, Zach, so then we'll have a third condition added to this. Is everybody in agreement with that condition from ART's perspective? Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so if everyone's in agreement, I will make a motion to approve this then with the 3 conditions. If I could have a second.
Second.
Thank you, Michael. Lori, if you can call the roll, please.
Ms. Gilger,
Yes.
Mr. Fagrell,
Yes.
Mr. Hamilton,
Yes.
Mr. Hendershot,
Yes.
Mr. Flora,
Yes.
Sergeant Rice,
Yes.
Mr. Hyatt.
Michael's still having issues. Okay, thank you, Lori.
And Ms. Roush.
Oh, yes, me. Sorry. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, then our 4th application today is a recommendation, and this was introduced to ART last week. So it's for a building modification and outdoor patio for a restaurant use within the B block of the Bridge Park development. And Nikki is going to be our presenter today for that.
Great, good afternoon. Just give me 1 second to share my presentation. Okay, as mentioned, this is a request for consideration of a minor project review for the Baltimore Corner restaurant located within the Bridge Park development, which is located in the Bridge Street district. The Bridge Park development contains multiple blocks of development, with building B2, the building in question, being located in block B. Building B2 is located at the intersection of Riverside Drive and Bridge Park Avenue. Specifically, this tenant space is the most northwestern tenant space at that intersection near the termination of the Dublin Link pedestrian bridge, Riverside Crossing Park, and the Bridge Park Avenue shopping corridor. So here are some existing conditions to orient you. The photo on the left-hand side is a view looking east up Bridge Park Avenue from Riverside Drive. The tenant space in question is on the right-hand side of that picture. The right-hand picture on your screen is the tenant space. All of those dark black or gray areas would be areas that are proposed to be occupied by the tenant. You'll see here the covered balcony and pier. This area is proposed to be enclosed as part of the tenant improvements and would become a building addition. Finally, this is an image looking south from the intersection of Bridge Park and Riverside Drive, down Riverside Drive toward the 161 Riverside Drive roundabout. The sidewalk as well as planters here are two items that would be modified with the addition of the restaurant, which would be in the foreground, and then further south, the covered but open patio. So a bit of history regarding Bridge Park and specifically this block of development. Bridge Park Block B was originally approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission in 2015. At that time, a development plan, conditional use, and final site plan were approved, and with those, all associated details were also approved. This included the designation of a shopping corridor, which is shown on the screen. A shopping corridor was required along a 550-foot stretch of a principal frontage street, which happens to extend along the frontages of building B2. Additionally, in 2015, publicly accessible open space was required to be provided. The rate of the open space or calculation that's made is based on the combination of uses. One of the open spaces provided was a 515-foot pocket plaza located where this tenant space is at the intersection of Bridge Park Avenue and Riverside Drive, identified there as BPZ1. Most recently, in 2021, just last week, this application was introduced to the administrative review team, at which time a number of items were raised both by the applicant as well as by the team. So in summary, this is a proposal for facade and storefront alterations to customize this tenant space within Bridge Park, realizing that this tenant has an unique opportunity to activate the streetscape in this area, as well as to capitalize on the future improvement of Riverside Crossing Park. The tenant improvement, you'll see on the left-hand side of this image, the main entry is located off of Bridge Park Avenue with the proposed 625 square foot building addition at the intersection of Bridge Park and Riverside Drive. You can't hear me?
You have no audio whatsoever.
I can hear you, Nikki.
Okay. Can anyone else hear me?
Yeah, I could hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so it's just Jenny, so I will continue on.
Oh, there you are. No, you're there. You're back. You're back. Okay.
Okay.
That was weird.
Sincere apologies. So, building addition, 625 square feet, located at the intersection of Riverside Drive and Bridge Park Avenue. And then on the right-hand side of this image, you will see a 400 square foot covered patio space, which includes the modification of the existing planters. So the design aesthetic here is established by a combination of high quality materials, textures, furniture, finishes, and lighting, all of which will be considered as part of subsequent reviews. So in summary, when this was introduced to the administrative review team, a number of items were identified. Most importantly, this desire to, delicately balance the pedestrian circulation of the area, as well as activating the streetscape. recognizing that there is a huge opportunity here, both for the city of Dublin as well as the applicant to activate Riverside Drive. Additionally, the team identified a concern regarding constricted pedestrian circulation, particularly at that intersection. The administrative review team also identified the Scioto River neighborhood standards do require a gateway element in this location, which should be maintained with these improvements. Additionally, there was a desire to provide public art and open space that still meets the original intent of the approved plan. And finally, there were some comments regarding the integration of the second-story balcony with the proposed tenant modifications. And finally, that should the planters be modified, the modification be a more organic arc. So just to provide some context to those comments, I'll really quickly go through this and then turn it over to the applicant team. This is the tenant space with the right-of-way line identified in red. On the lower portion of your screen, you can see a portion of these improvements is located within the right-of-way beyond the bounds of their site. So here are the proposed plans in detail, which the right-of-way line is again identified in red, with the building addition encroachment, as well as the covered patio encroachment and the planter modifications. The applicant has also dimensioned clear circulation areas. With that, in consideration of the administrative review team's comments, the information provided by the applicant team, staff is recommending that this be forwarded to the Planning and Zoning Commission for their consideration, given several complex items identified on the screen. I would be happy to provide additional detail regarding any of the previously approved open space or public art requirements, as well as the shopping corridor requirements. Additionally, the code notes that in areas where public infrastructure would need to be provided or modified, that would typically rise to the level of a Planning and Zoning Commission review. So with that, I have nothing else to add, although I do know the applicant team has prepared additional materials to share with you today to better inform the conversation. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Nikki. Thanks for that nice summary of all the things we've talked about and where ART's discussion was. Does anybody have any initial questions for Nikki before I turn it over to Carter and team? Okay. Carter, are you going to kick us off? I know Matt and Russ are here as well, and Wayne.
Correct. Yes. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Nikki. To address some of the comments that were made in the meeting last week and Nikki just reviewed today, I have a couple additional materials to share if you wouldn't mind my bringing up the screen.
Oh, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay. So there was a lot of conversation, obviously, about constricting pedestrian flow, primarily at the corner. And also, as you move south along Riverside Drive, we had only shown modifications to the northern streetscape planter, and there was some comment about making that jog as we get to the second planter to the south. So what you'll see in the updated drawings and renderings that we're sharing today, so as to have less constriction at the corner, we have removed the column that was previously shown at that corner and open it up for free flow of traffic around that 45-degree angle. As we move south along the pedestrian way, we're also showing additional modifications to the streetscape planters, specifically the southern, where we're proposing cutting that back and the overall view is on the right here, and having that sweep to the point where it connects back to its existing eastern edge somewhere in front of Z Cucina here. So in doing so, if I go to the blow up view, you'll see that the northern streetscape planner and southern streetscape planner both align now. And the result is favorable as far as this pedestrian way. We were down to just over 8 feet previously, and now we are at 9 feet 2 approximately, and that is to the face of the flower boxes that hang off of the railing on the patio. We were also previously dimensioning to the vertical structure of that patio. So we've picked up a fair amount of space there, which will really help with the circulation through that area. There were also some concerns in the last meeting about photometric light levels. We've gone back and had a conversation with our electrical engineer who generated the photometrics, and I won't go through the details of this on the meeting, but essentially what we've done, previously all of the light fixtures were shown at their maximum output level, which is standard for the photometric plans, but it's never our intent to have those lights at full output. So all of our lights will be on dimmers. We've accounted for the lights to be used at a maximum 66% of their output, which has resulted in light levels that meet what's required in this area. And they really, in fact, in operation will probably be more dim. So that's another change that we've made. Which then brings me to the pretty stuff. So we created an additional view here, which is seen much more from overhead so that you can see the proposed modification to the streetscape planners. This particular planner, the northern one, is where we had previously been showing it. And again, we've adjusted the next planner to the south to pick up at that point and then gently curve back out to where it meets its current east edge. And that just allows for much more pedestrian circulation space moving past our covered outdoor patio. Additionally, as I mentioned previously, we've removed the column at the corner, and we've removed the contrasting color paver. So all of the space at this corner is now open and contiguous for pedestrian flow. I'll click through the images here. It's really opened up that corner nicely, we think. This is with the windows retracted up. A nighttime view. I should also mention our photometric plan didn't previously include the linear wall washing fixtures that will accent the exterior wall tile. Those have now been included in the photometric plan. Patio, and again, to point out, we have these rail planter boxes, and the clearance that we've now shown on the plans is from the outside face of these planter boxes to the streetscape planter. Another nighttime shot for you. And I have another exhibit that I want to show with regard to the planters, because when we talk about these dimensions, it's hard to imagine what the actual effect is, and we talked about the existing trees in these planters, streetscape planters, and whether or not they'd be affected. This is a view looking north with the existing configuration of the planters, And I have a sequence of 2 more views showing the modification to each of the planters. So this next one, let's zoom in a little bit, is the simulated proposed movement of the east edge of the north planter, right? And some of the heartburn last week is that we had this jog, which would be a trip hazard if somebody were walking southbound, looking at their phone, talking to their friend, they could catch that. And it was creating a little bit less width than we wanted at the outdoor patio space. This next image shows the simulation of moving that southern planter edge over, which would then, sweep back and meet its existing east edge as it gets south of our patio. But these, I think, are helpful because it shows we're not getting into any of the substantial tree root zone or anything. We're just talking about modifying what's low plantings in those boxes today. So I'll click back through those quickly. This is existing, north box modified, south box modified. Russ Hunter's on the call as well. And Russ, if you could add your thoughts on the shopping corridor and the open space, that would be great.
Yeah, thanks, Carter. I think that the open space that's up on here, I think one of the things that as a developer thinking about Bridge Park as a whole, that we just want to make sure is out there and as an option, more than willing to find additional spots for that. So if it means that we are replacing it in other blocks, obviously very, very open to that. I think that we are just genuinely excited about what this proposal does for this particular corner of Bridge Park and activating the gateway. So, as far as the shopping corridor goes, I realize that it is it's the letter of the code that obviously we won't be meeting in this particular location. It's and we talked a little bit about this morning. I think it's letter of the law and the spirit of the law. I think that and for the little bit of of space that we lose, I think it's worth it for the overall appearance of the site, and just hope that that's something that we can continue to talk through.
I wanted to add a few things. From the very beginning of this development, anytime that I would meet with potential users, and we've met with hundreds over the years, and you'd lay out a site plan to them, and they put their finger on this particular corner, and that's where they all wanted to be. And from our standpoint, it's a very, very important corner, and we wanted some particular use that was going to be worthy of that corner and activate that corner. Not only activate it, but do it in a high quality way. And I think, sitting on your side, the easy question to ask would be, well, why can't you just cut it back and, operate within the boundaries of the property line? And if you look at a plan, it's, first of all, that could happen. It probably wouldn't happen because it wouldn't be financially feasible. First of all, we would lose dozens of seats, which doesn't make this viable. But the other thing is that, specifically as I'm looking at the south patio, we use different storefront types that really activates the street front when we use a nano wall, so we can push those tables a little bit away from the building, and we use a bifold door on the corner. It will really tie in with what is happening across the street, and we couldn't think of a better user for this. I think they have activated both sides of that plaza on the west side very well, and I expect that this will happen at this particular location as well. Again, I recognize these are not easy ask, but we would not bring them to you unless we thought this was a high quality approach to that. So with that, I respectfully ask you to consider this seriously.
Thank you. Thank you all for that. And I think you bring up good points. Everyone brings up some good points and things that we discussed last week, and I know we've all discussed amongst ourselves and with you all as we've moved through this, how to balance all these pieces and parts. And I think as Nikki outlined in her review, and we've all discussed, given the level of complexity to this and Planning Commission being the original reviewing body of that and setting forth some of these items, particularly the open space and the you're going to need a waiver to request that modification to the shopping corridor, that on the whole this ART, and again we'll make official motion here, but when we discussed last week, really feeling like the improvements that you're making here would require that Planning Commission review. And again, we can talk through if ART has any other concerns or things they want to raise. And I appreciate, Carter, you looking into those items, which will only help further Planning Commission's review if we've done this initial review and outlined some of those potential pitfalls and how those can be addressed. So I appreciate that. Do ART members have other things to add, or we want to talk through further that were raised at the meeting last week?
And I do appreciate the updates that were made that you presented today. It does help alleviate some of the concerns that we had looking at the plans for transition, so I do appreciate that. And removing that post there at the intersection there for that improved pedestrian circulation. But I do agree with Jenny and also staff's recommendation, given the complexity of this, and the Planning and Zoning Commission looking at the criteria, having that forward to them for their review.
Thank you, Michael. Any other ART members have comments or questions? Okay. Nikki, any public comment on this?
We have no public comment.
Okay, so at this point, if anybody doesn't have any other questions or comments, I will make a motion then that we recommend this application be kicked up to the Planning Commission for their review and determination. If I could have a second.
I second.
Thank you, Michael. Lori, if you can call the roll.
Yes. Mr. Flora?
Yes.
Sergeant Rice? Sergeant Rice?
Yes.
Mr. Hyatt? Mr. Hendershot?
Yes.
Mr. Fagral?
Yes.
Ms. Gilger?
Yes.
Mr. Hamilton?
Yes.
And Ms. Ross?
Yes. Okay, great. Well, thank you all very much. And I know Nikki's going to work with you all to get you ready to go to Planning Commission here at the beginning of April, I believe is what we were targeting. So appreciate again all the work and collaboration to get us to this point and all the work that you've done thus far.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Any other items for ART? I don't have any other items on the agenda for today. Okay.
No, nothing else.
All right. Thank you, Chase. With that, we will be adjourned and we'll give Chase 1 minute here to stop the live stream.